Hey, I'm Butterfly.
Hey, I'm Firefly.
Have you ever wondered if we aren't being told the truth about everything?
What have we been lied to about? Join us as we have conversations and ask questions about everything. We invite you to keep an open mind and consider the unfathomable.
Let's break the chains that enslave our minds. Come on, let's go down the rabbit hole.
What's up, Butterfly?
Hey, Firefly, what's going on?
Well, let's do a episode about things falling apart and having it be part of the plan.
Yeah, we're going to go down a planned obsolescence
That's what it
rabbit
is.
hole
That's what it is.
because I'm starting to think that um, all of these things that fall apart, I think it's by design.
Totally.
And I'm not just talking about, I'm talking about like washing machines, computers, phones, but also like
Bars.
systems and cultures. I feel like they're actually planning for our culture to be obsolete.
It's a collapse.
It's a
That's
collapse.
what we're doing. We're in the people from that country from 1948 are intentionally collapsing Western civilization.
I mean,
All of our systems are in full collapse.
yeah. So, I mean, most people can see this happening. And you know what? This is interesting too, because you know how we talk about how what's it going to take for people to wake up? And I've said, well, it's going to have to be something very specific and personal that affects their life, like in a very specific way that
Yeah.
they can see that this is what the problem is, um, for most people to wake up. And it's interesting because I think, like with planned obsolescence, most people can see this because they experience this in their own lives where, like, you've got an iPhone and it's working great. And then after like a couple years, it just like totally doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people probably don't realize that, but I think a lot of people do realize that things are meant to break. Like, do you remember me talking about my mom has this old refrigerator in her garage that was my grandma's,
Yeah.
and this refrigerator is probably like 75 years old. Like it's super old and it's still going strong. But, she's had like I don't even know, like 20 other refrigerators in the house all these years since that have broken down, but things were made to last
They
back
were
then.
made to
And
last.
I think like our culture and like the civilizations, I don't know, are is there a shelf life? Because it seems like they're trying to destroy like our
Well, they're doing
our
it on
culture.
purpose. It's not organic.
No.
It's not organic. There is like a shelf life, like 250 years is typical civilization,
Right.
but
But our
our civilization was predicated on the Constitution, and it could have gone on for thousands of years.
Well, and here's like maybe kind of an epiphany. So, they do say that like every civilization kind of like tends to last about 250 years. And so we're kind of at the end of that time frame. But um why is that? Maybe they've all been purposely destroyed in that time frame. Like maybe none of those things happened organically. You know what I mean?
Well, a lot of them kind of turn to degeneracy
Yeah.
and child sacrifice. That's kind of like a common predicate of the end of
Yeah,
civilizations.
totally.
Like, are you killing your kids and acting like a total degenerate? That might be a harbinger of the end of civilization.
Mhm.
Now, that is happening, and that's an organic collapse. But
But see, that's happening in our culture right
that's
now
happening here,
with
but
like transgender and everything, and it's not organic.
it's not organic. That's the thing.
They're
What's
pushing
going
it.
on is the media is turning people into these reprobates
Hmm.
because they know that that hastens the end of civilization. So what's going on now is a sabotage.
Totally.
So we totally are under the threat of that. Now, I think that we still can turn it around. And one of the things that we have to turn it around was, remember yesterday we were talking about, or last episode, or the couple episodes ago, we were talking about what is the hallmark of the first world: consideration of others and courtesy. That is how civilizations are built, is on those predicates. So now they're getting rid of that.
Yeah.
So planned obsolescence is taking place in our products, but it's taking place in our society too, because everybody's self-absorbed
Yeah.
and everybody's just real selfish and they don't care about anybody else. It's almost like, well, I got what I need, so fuck you, you know? So I think that is what's going on. They're intentionally turning us into reprobates so that our civilization will collapse. Why does that benefit the elites? If you just want to call them the elites, I think it's that country from 1948. But the reason it benefits them is because once everything collapses, then they can come in and control everybody and exterminate everybody. Right now, they can't fully yet.
You know what? I think they're waiting for the last of the what did you call it? The greatest generation?
The greatest generation, yes.
That's what they were called before the boomers.
Yeah,
I think they're waiting for the last of that generation to die off
they are.
because I started noticing this, and we kind of touched on this briefly a couple episodes ago. The US mail system has gotten extremely unreliable and very slow.
Yeah.
And you really can't, like, before, like when you would mail a letter or a bill or something, you knew, like, generally, for the most part, it was going to get to the location within a couple days, like depending on how far away it was. If
Yeah.
it had to go across the country, you might want to allow like 5 to 7 days just to be safe, but it would get there, in a few days. Now you have like no guarantee. Like you could mail something and it'll never get there. Like, so perfect example. I was just on a trip and I sent out some postcards to several friends and some of them never received the postcards and I mailed them all at once from the same place from a post office at this location. And I just got a text message from a friend who told me that she just received it today and I mailed it on December 28th. So it took like almost a month to get there from like a few states away.
So that's obsolescence.
Obsolescence. So I have a theory about this. I think that this may be by design also because I think they're trying to, how they're trying to push us all into this digital prison.
Mhm.
And I don't think they like the idea of us mailing letters and paying for things like with a check through the mail. I think they want everybody to be digital and pay for everything online. And they want this whole system to become so unreliable that most people just go, oh my God, because I've mailed several bills that did not reach the destination on time or never got there. And then, like, you get late fees and everything else. So I think what they're doing is they want to get everybody on this digital system so that you no longer can like mail a, a check to pay a
They're
bill.
like, Butterfly, we would like you to just send your friend a text message and a photo.
Right.
Because then what we can do is like Eric Schmidt, the founder of Google,
We can autocorrect
will just
it.
autocorrect.
Yeah.
So, because if you write something on a postcard, you might write something that is red pill.
Exactly. And it's just like during cooties, they didn't want people to meet in person with each
Yeah.
other because they couldn't autocorrect what you were saying,
We can't
you know?
control the conversation.
Yeah.
See, online, they can control the
They can
conversation.
control it. And if you are paying for everything digitally, well, not only can they control that, but they could turn that off or make get rid of your access to it. They've got all of your bank information. So I think what they're really doing is they're like trying to get everybody off of that system and on digital. And the only thing that's really like stopping them from doing that is there's a few people still in this world who want to, do it the old fashioned way and like send a check through the mail. And I'm one of those people, and
Yeah.
probably most people in our age group are not like that. Probably most people are doing it digitally, but I prefer to do it the old-fashioned way. And I think um the big chunk of people that are doing it that way are the old people who don't know how to like get online and stuff. So they just write checks. And a lot of those people are probably not going to be around much longer. So I think that part of the cooties thing was to get rid of that generation, which they did a good job of. And now there's a few still left. And once those people are gone, they can basically, like, everybody after that generation, pretty much, I think, knows how to use a computer and, you know, do digital stuff.
Everybody also has the
So they'll
attention
be
span of a
forced.
gnat now.
Yeah.
My grandma, who was the same age as your grandma, probably, she had a refrigerator out in the garage too,
Mhm.
and it always had like a side of beef,
Oh, yeah.
the whole fridge.
Yeah.
So
Extra food.
they would have a side of beef and extra food, and
Mhm.
she also kept like 20 grand in cash in the house at all times
Wow. That's a big
because
chunk.
she
That's a good
survived.
idea.
Well, she survived the
The Great Depression.
specifically the Dust Bowl in Oklahoma, which was gnarly. That was when um, a lot of the Okies came out to California. She was part of that, like John Steinbeck. You ever read The Grapes of
Uh-huh.
Wrath? That was all about them coming from Oklahoma out to California because of the Dust Bowl. She was a part of that. That generation had an ethos of preparedness,
Yeah.
self-determination, and a distrust of big government.
Yeah.
And they're trying to eliminate that.
Right.
What if you look at young people these days, they are just like, daddy, just give me whatever. Like young people these days are implicitly trusting of the government and the media. Have you
Oh,
noticed?
yeah.
Implicit.
Yeah.
Like they don't
Totally.
even question it.
No.
And
And this is
so
perfect for them.
they're
They
perfect.
love that.
So I can totally see that. They're like trying to get rid of the ethos of the greatest generation
Mhm.
because they were the ones who promulgated the 1950s America engine that had a huge middle class.
Mhm.
And remember back then, you could start a hardware store on the main street.
Yeah.
You could raise your family. All the schools, America's schools were the best in the world.
Yeah.
We had the best schools in the world. We had very safe communities. If you look in the 1950s and 60s, if you look at any town America, it was clean. The people were walking around in suits.
I always picture that movie Pleasantville. Did you ever
Yeah,
see that? I love that
Pleasantville,
movie.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that was kind of making fun of it because the Culture Club doesn't like it.
No.
The Culture Club is trying to guide us toward Mad Max
Debauchery.
Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah.
So they want to take us from Pleasantville to Mad Max.
Yeah. And okay, so I think most people, if they were shown like both of those movies side by side, and you ask them like which town would you rather live in, would most normal people prefer to live in Pleasantville?
Well, if you've
I
got
don't know.
tattoos all over your
Yeah.
face and you're a degenerate, you're probably like, well, I
I'm
better
like
stick
Mad
with
Max.
Mad Max. There I can walk around with my head covered like Kanye when
I've
he went
seen
on
it.
Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've moved away from that. We've moved away from courtesy. We've moved away from consideration of others. And I think all of that is um, part and parcel of this controlled collapse and all of the controlled obsolescence. Is that what we called it? Planned
Planned
obsolescence.
obsolescence.
That's part of it. That's part of it. Because why would they want to make products that people don't want to have to replace? Like how they can't give you a computer that just runs for 30 years.
No.
They don't want that.
Well, they can't do that, for a lot of reasons because they've figured out that, like, that's probably not a good business model for them
Uh,
because then you're like, no, you're not going to come back and buy another one. So they got to make it break down so that you're going to come buy another one in a couple of years. But I think this idea that I had was that it's kind of like they're not only is it machines and stuff like that, but this idea of planned obsolescence is actually really all about even. like culture and our life. Like they want everything to be digital, even our lives. Our lives, they want us to be digital, you know?
Controlled.
Hmm.
Controlled and in collapse. That's what they want. It's the opposite of what we're trying to do. We're trying to do renaissance
Yeah.
and build something that lasts.
Yeah, so like you were talking about how, like in the 50s somebody could have like open a hardware store or maybe like a flower shop or a bakery or whatever, and people would go down to Main Street and shop and, you know, support these businesses, and people could make a living like that. They could buy a house and have a car and have a family and, have a nice life that way. But what has happened is like all these big box stores and Amazon has kind of taken over, and people have become lazy, I think,
Totally.
it's easier to just like sit at home and order your stuff on Amazon.
And I think that's actually a function of demoralization. I
Mm-hmm.
think people have become demoralized.
Totally.
I think they're totally terrified. They look around, they don't see solutions to fix what we have going on.
Yeah.
So they just kind of accept this
This
dystopia,
hellscape.
this hellscape, and then they're not really um, actively trying to fight it. I think they've accepted it.
Right.
And that's part of the plan. The media does that to people. It's part of the plan. So, what is white bid?
Yeah. So I know it's like we have to come up with solutions. And I think we've talked about this before, but I think we need to continue to support small local businesses. You know what I mean?
Pay
It's
cash.
pay cash and not accept these all of this stuff that they're putting into place, like just refuse it. We don't have to support these systems.
What we have to do is wake people up
Hmm.
because if people sleepwalk, they're going to sleepwalk into the abyss.
Yeah,
So, people have to choose to buy products from people who make stuff that's not planned obsolescence.
right.
Like if there's some guy who's manufacturing something that he makes a good product, the thing is right now the mob kind of they they kind of bully those people.
They do. And not only that, but they like what we were talking about in our last episode, how they control your what you're saying.
They autocorrect.
They autocorrect.
Yeah,
So they kind of like autocorrect when you're doing searches. So they might make it harder for you to find those products and those businesses, whereas they push like the Amazons and the, you know, Targets and all the big stuff out there. So when you're searching for something, they sort of like push that stuff in front of your face and make it easier to find, you
the
know?
white pill is you have to be very cautious about what you eat. You have to be very cautious about where you shop, and we have to start a revolution of alternatives.
Right.
Because if you just allow yourself to go along with this river is taking us to the collapse of Western civilization. You have to get out of the current that's taking you that way. The only way you can do it is you have to shop at small businesses, pay cash whenever you can. I know that's hard to do, but you got to be cognizant of it that we are being loaded onto trains that are heading towards the end of civilization.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're headed.
Yeah.
So the white pill is you have to be aware of it, situationally aware, and you have to kind of take a look. Everything sucks now.
Yeah.
Everything
I
sucks.
know.
You
But you
know?
know what? You know that saying, misery loves company?
Yeah,
So if there's more of us talking about these things and more of us who realize what's happening, I kind of feel like there's, not only does misery love company, but there's safety in numbers. And, the more people that know about these things and talk about these things, I feel like that helps. It helps the
totally.
movement. And so, you know what? Like if you're listening to this episode and you like these conversations, share the episode with a friend. If you share it with just one friend, you're doing a big part in helping to keep this conversation going.
This might be another episode, but you just kind of gave me an epiphany. What
Oh,
if memory is another thing that's obsolete and obsolescent?
oh my gosh.
Because they keep kind of attacking our memory.
Totally.
We go and doom scroll and they show you little 3-second clips and you just keep watching. And then when you watch a television show or a movie now, because I was a film major, they would show like in the 1950s, they would have one shot that wasn't a cut and it would be a long like 3-4 minutes
Yeah.
and it would show a lot of action and there would be no cuts.
And now it's like cut,
Cut,
cut, cut.
cut, cut,
It's like
cut.
a music video.
Like go watch a good example would be The Born Identity. Have you ever
Yeah.
seen that movie?
Yeah.
When you watch The Born Identity, there's a cut every 2 seconds.
Well, they're training everybody to have the attention span of gnats,
So
you know?
why? That's kind of a planned obsolescence.
I think you're right.
Because
Wow, they're trying to
memory,
make our memories obsolete.
yeah, because if memory allows you to connect with your ancestors, and memory allows you to
Learn.
remember history,
Yeah, it allows you to
learn,
learn from mistakes.
learn from mistakes. Like, for instance, memory helps you to go, wait, communism has never worked out.
I just
What?
had an epiphany.
Epiphany.
Okay, so it's kind of like elaborating maybe on your epiphany, but it's like it's like we are we're being bombarded so much with all of these like news flashes and everything and all of these horrible things that we sort of have become jaded, I think. Like every horrible thing is just like, oh God, it's after like a few weeks of seeing it, it becomes less and less like horrifying. So it's kind of like the what you're talking about, the cuts in the movies, we're having those cuts in like our real life and in our memories.
Yeah, because the movies train us.
Yeah.
So the reason that we have so many cuts is because now we don't even really remember the Good Samaritan in Minnesota now
Yeah.
because we've moved on to Trump pulling out of the UN. So there's been another cut. It's
Yeah.
another cut.
Yeah.
That Good Samaritan in Minneapolis, that was just for like a day.
Yeah. So everything is just for like a day now. There's a new headline every couple hours. So
Yeah.
everything's breaking news and then we move on to the next thing. And we become so bombarded and jaded with all of this horrific stuff that like it takes a lot to really shock people anymore and people kind of just become numb.
They're numb and they're dumb.
Then they take a soma. Yeah,
They take a
numb and
soma.
dumb.
And so, white pill is we need to understand that this is going on. We are systematically being coerced into the end of civilization, and it's happening at a very rudimentary level in the way that we watch movies, in the way that our products break down, in the way
Mhm.
that we eat poison. Everybody's out of shape and everybody's unhealthy. And also in the news stories, and where you're bombarded with all of these different news stories that you don't even really remember what happened 2 weeks ago.
No,
All of this is guiding us. It's kind of like we're being corralled
totally.
to the end of civilization. And unless we become aware of it, situationally aware of it, and don't, what you just, all you got to do is not participate in
Right. I just had another epiphany.
it.
So maybe this like collapse of civilization that they're orchestrating is corralling us so that, if things become so bad and so horrible, they could um basically like introduce us to some sort of fabricated utopia that they're going to create and make it sound like this new world that they're making is better. And so here you have like everything's digital and you've got your universal basic income. But because everything has gotten so bad, a lot of people will be like welcoming it.
That could be that they make everything so dystopian and collapsed that their little digital prison is going to look
It's going to
enticing.
look enticing.
They're going to be like, you know what? You're gonna have free look at how nice your Roach Motel is gonna be, and you'll have your locust bean paste dropped off.
And you're going to have a window.
You'll have a window, and you're gonna have an e-bike,
And if things get really bad, there's a silk scarf tied already around your doorknob.
and we'll mail you a coffin when it's time. And that'll look nice compared to what are you gonna do? Continue suffering in the hell that you're in?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what's going on. We're being coerced into that. So white pill, I think, is be situationally aware that we're being coerced into the end of civilization, and understand that all of our products are made to
Break.
break. Because why would that be? It's kind of a metaphor for us. We're supposed to break.
Yeah.
We are supposed to be obsolete
Mhm.
because they've got their new clones coming in, like Erica Kirk,
Right.
and they're going to be taking over.
They want the old America to be obsolete. They want to end this kind of civilization and have more of a feudal system.
Yeah,
Um,
because the old America does not work out good. If we have a middle class, think about a middle class. That means that everybody thrives,
yeah.
And actually, um, in that book, Robinson Crusoe, remember I told you
Hmm.
how he's a young man and his dad says, I've got you set up for the rest of your life. And he goes, no, 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 no. I want to go find adventure on the high seas. And he ended up getting marooned for like 30 years. Well, so he didn't listen to his dad. But his dad was giving him advice and he said, it's, you don't want to be so rich that you have no appreciation of anything,
That's such a good point.
but you don't want to be so poor that you have to steal.
Right.
You just want to have enough. So middle class is actually perfect because you have a comfortable life, but you don't have so much that you just have no appreciation for anything.
Yeah.
And so that's what we need. We need to get back to a strong middle class. How do we
Totally.
do that? We have a strong economy. They've completely destroyed that idea. They want everybody corralled into these big box stores. And now only a select few people can have a job. And those are the people who capitulate to the culture club.
What they
So
want is communism.
they want communism. They don't want 1950s America because that was a strong middle class. And like you said, your mom's fridge is still running.
Yeah. And then they've got people who, they can have a business or go to work and not slave and toil all the time, and they can have a nice, comfortable life. And these people, I think are less easily manipulated and controlled.
Totally. That was another thing about 1950s America is they were informed and they were making decisions that were informed. You couldn't just pull a fast one on your typical mom in a 1950s household. They were smart and they were well educated. We had the best schools in America. And the news wasn't completely toxic.
Right.
It was so you were actually kind of informed, you
Yeah.
know? So we got to get back to that because what's going on now is everyone's dumb and kind of misinformed and unhealthy.
You know what? I have a good idea.
What's that? Tell me.
Um, Maybe people should just turn off their TVs
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
because because all it is now is brainwashing and manipulation, MK mind control, and ads for Big Shawarma,
Yeah.
which
No,
is
you
all
want
of
to turn
that
your
stuff
TV
too.
off. You want to turn your TV off because they're going to make you feel sick and like you got to go get big shawarma.
Yeah, and I think if everybody turned off their TV, I bet you nobody would be wearing a mask right now.
No one's wearing a
I'm
mask.
seeing people wearing masks again. It's
We wouldn't be
weird.
blue pilled by Trump.
I'm like, I see that and I'm just like, that is so pathetic. When I see a person wandering around like that now, I'm like, it's just so pathetic. And I'm like, you know what? If they turned off their TV, if they never watched TV, they wouldn't be doing that.
They wouldn't.
And they would be like probably healthier than ever because they would have no clue that like there was some horrible big bad disease going on out there. You know
Didn't
what
we
I
see
mean?
somebody wearing a mask and we were checking out that like third world place where we were going to record our studio? there was somebody wearing a mask and and then they got it hanging. They had it hanging by their
Yeah.
ear. Who
Yeah,
was that?
I
I
remember.
think it
It
was a
was
third world
weird.
barbarian like showed us around. Like he went and did some work and he came back and he had a mask, but he had a mask just hanging from his ear.
It was so weird.
So, dude, it doesn't make any sense. You're
No.
not going to do that unless you're tuned into some media bubble,
And when I say TV, I mean like all of it.
social
Yeah,
media.
you got to turn it all off.
Social media is so bad.
Except for Firefly and Butterfly,
That's right.
because we're not serving up blue pills or
We're
black
like,
pills.
remember public access TV back in the day?
Yeah,
That's what we're
totally.
like.
Totally.
We're like grassroots raw. So
Totally.
yeah, I think this episode was kind of multifaceted, but I think to sum it up, we're living in a planned obsolescence, and that's our civilization, our bodies, our products, our technology, and it's moving us towards communism. So we need to go back to 1950s America with a burgeoning middle class, flourishing middle class. And if we can do that, we can start to create products that last and we can start to have a civilization that lasts because you and I have kids and we need to make sure that the future is bright for them.
That's
And
it.
right now, we need to make some changes.
Yeah, I don't want my kids living in like North Korea
No, and that's where we're
or
headed.
China.
We're heading into like a global, like one big North Korea.
Yeah.
Like little Kim just like runs the world.
Yeah.
He's all,
He's fat and everybody else is
yeah.
like stunted
The
and
other men
like
are
starving.
actually shrinking statistically because of malnutrition, but he's fat and hangs out with Dennis Rodman. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.